service is not. Oh, there we go. All right. Hey everybody, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center where we teach people all over the world how to empower their lives and the lives of their animals through using and understanding applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement. We do that through our live streams and our membership programs. You can find out more about what we do at our website, theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Hey Mary, hey Chris, hey everybody. Good to see you on here. I'm extremely excited to be here at Nancy Forrester's Secret Garden once again, 3 years straight in a row. I have to remember there's so many things I want to do before we get... So we've got several people sitting here with us. I'll turn this around. We've got several people here sitting with us. This is going to be a very interactive live stream. So to get started, this is my 3rd year being here. And today is the 6-year anniversary of the Animal Behavior Center. It's our 6-year anniversary today. Thank you. Nope, I've got several things. I'm sitting here with Nancy Forrester straight across, but I want to do a couple of things. Thanks, everybody. Everything, so much of what I do is symbols of things. And I've got 3 pieces on today that represent something back to you. Yeah, believe that or not. So, in a way, this one is kind of for my sister. My sister came to Key West with me for the first time last year.
Did she give that to you?
No, we bought it together. Yeah, and I get so many compliments on this. Key West is my heart and soul. And someday I'll find a way to spend more time here. But I'm going to give this hat back here in a second to Nancy. I stole this from her last year. This is my 3rd year being here. I stole this from you last year, and for a reason. I traveled the United States with this over the past year. Went several different places, and I took Nancy's hat with me to help bring recognition and donations back to you in the work that you do. So this hat has a large following and gets me lots of compliments. And we promoted you a couple of times this week because of this hat here in Key West. The second thing, so I'm going to give this back. Thank you guys. Hey Dina, I was just talking to you. My sister's watching. So
Dina, this is Nancy saying hi.
Say hi, Dina.
We miss you.
So the second thing, I went out and bought I bought this shirt for Dina yesterday too. The Fish Monster shirt. Fish Monster Charters. Yes. So when Hurricane Irma hit, a lot of people on here know I was desperately searching for you. And one of the places I went to, I was reaching out to anybody here in Key West, and one of the places I went to was Fish Monster. So we contacted them, and they helped us put feelers out to find you, just to make sure you were okay and the birds were okay. So every morning since Hurricane Irma, Dina and I are watching Fish Monster's live streams. So now I'm going to give you your hat back, which is going to cause me to have some serious hat head because I've been wearing it every single day I've been down here. So I'm going to turn this around. There's Nancy Forrester of Nancy Forrester's Secret Garden. You're a very passionate person. One of the first times I met you, which was 3 years ago, I know how much work this is. I know. And for you to do it, and now you have your volunteer, Melissa, and Sean, who's not here.
Sean is invited to come, and he said he would. Hopefully he'll show up.
Okay. And I saw Steve out front.
Did you say hi to
I
Steve?
did, and wishing him a well road to recovery.
So for those of you who don't know, I have been very spoiled for 12 years to
Just go ahead.
been able to employ a person to do the work, and we did all the work with a few volunteers. And then I got very dependent on him, and then he became a cancer patient. He's been gone for 4 months doing all the things you do to get well. He's now finished with his treatment and expected to start coming back maybe the second week in March, start working again. gradually come in. But because he's been gone, it's all different, and the birds are different, and everything's changed. So it's not the same place to come back to.
Yeah. So let me know, guys, if you guys can't hear very well, because we're going to start talking about some topics. Turn this back around again, and I am going to. It's hot down here. Here comes our plane every 10 minutes. Or that's not the one, is it? Okay. Okay. Here is your hat back.
I like to talk a little bit about the hat and what happened.
I'm going to keep it pointed at you because, and feel free to speak up.
This hat I purchased for not much money, like a few bucks, at the Salvation Army here in Key West. Maybe 6 months before you came last year, okay? It's a very becoming hat. When you put it on, you just feel like it's you know. And I'm 80 years old, and I just thought I need something fun and cheerful and colorful and roses on my head. So I got this thing, put it on, and I wore it a lot.
Did you?
Yeah. So we have this this sort of anniversary where we go to Salute every year, and in order to save the chairs there, because it's a very popular place, I have to take a lot of hats and put them on the backs of the chairs to save the chairs. So I did it again this year, and with new hats. But anyway, last year this went on her head. It looked so gorgeous on her, and she just went off with it.
I just loved.
And I was so thrilled because I was following her on her journeys, and I remember seeing a picture of her at the Oasis Sanctuary in front of that big sign out there.
Oh, that was Best Friends in Utah.
Best Friends.
Yeah.
I mean, Best Friends, not the Oasis, Best Friends.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! If you've never been to Best Friends in Utah, you have to go visit there. I think you can just walk in and visit.
Yep.
It's an awesome place for animal lovers. And she was standing out there in this wide open space in front of this mammoth sign.
And it was in the rain. It was pouring down rain.
With this hat. And she, so I felt, I didn't want to say it in a way, I just felt like that it's kind of a problem to fly with this, isn't it? You have to stick it up over the thing, and you can't fold it in your suitcase. No.
Mm-mm.
But
it sits on my lap.
So what? Oh, it sits on your lap.
It sits on my lap.
It sits on your lap. So I decided when I heard it was coming back that I was going to make sure she kept it. But this time she was going home with a pair of shoes to match it. So I got these shoes. See?
Guess what I'm wearing on my birthday.
Unfortunately, though, they're not big enough. But the thought was she was going to get out of here with more roses on top to bottom, see? So, anyway, I would like to have you continue, whether you take it on your travels or not, or however you use this, to have you just go home with you again. Because last night, we went down to the Sunset Pier to watch the sunset go down. And she got so many compliments and notices with this on her head. And not that she needs that, because she's a beautiful woman in her own right. But I'm not going to accept this back. I need for you to take it. Now, in the meantime, I've tried to get new hats that would be better for her from the Salvation Army. There's this one. It's a big not success. But she can try it on. And this one over here was
I
better.
got so many compliments on that one the other night.
Well, this is going with you too. But now you have your own hats back. This is for you, because for me, I don't want to say I'm superstitious, but this is this is a high spiritual hat for her. It keeps her healthy and keeps her journeys, whether she chooses to carry it on a journey, this keeps her safe. And she needs this hat.
I love you.
I love you too. And I wish the shoes were bigger.
They're pretty awesome shoes.
Thanks, Nancy.
You're welcome.
I will continue to wear this hat.
And may all your journeys be happy and safe. with or without the hat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I have a journey in my very immediate future that is making me very nervous to travel.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going? To a country that's war torn?
It's on the other side of the world.
Oh, are you going overseas? Where are you going?
I don't know if I can say yet
You
because
don't
it's
have
not
to.
confirmed, but yeah, anyways, so when I put this hat on my head, I feel fun, I feel alive. And you know what's really cool is twice I've been called up on stage since I've been here in Key West.
Because of the hat?
And they're like, nice hat. And I was like, I stole it. And I'm here to bring it back. And that people are just like, tell me more. And so then that gives me the opportunity to talk about you.
So it makes me feel very happy that you will accept it back.
I will.
Good.
How about I come back down here this time next year to see if you want it back yet?
Okay.
Okay.
I might keep it for a year and give it back. But it's holding up well.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of character. The
It just-
brim has a little this, that, and it's good. It looks great on you.
Thank you.
And the most important part is that it goes with the love and the spirit that you deserve, and you have all of my love.
Thank you. And you know it's returned.
I do, yeah.
All right, so thank you. That means a lot. Let's talk. We gave a little introduction of what I do. And you heard about Nancy talking with the hyacinth. You were talking about aversives. And when I gave the presentation, here's the plane. Hang on. There's a plane every 10 minutes.
Airplane. We can do visuals.
Okay, so one of the presentations I gave at Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Kanab, Utah, it was primarily for professional dog trainers, and I was out there talking about fine-tuning your training techniques through training parrots. So aversives are things the animal doesn't like. Like a lot of times, I mean, what would you think are some aversives for the dogs? For dogs? Like a spank on the butt? Could be one. And like I said, B.F. Skinner said the main form of behavior control today is coercion. Do it or else. Look at it. It's all around you. It's the traffic lights. It's, crowded streets. But that is the major form of behavior control today. There's different things we can do. Anyways, one of the first things I do is parrots really help you fine-tune understanding behavior. Number one, you need to say something?
I wanted to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but at a good time.
Yeah.
I need to walk inside and get something I forgot to give you. And you can talk to Melissa or any way you want, of course, when I'm
Okay.
going. I'll be right back.
Okey
Is that
dokey.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? Aversives. Parrots can really help you fine-tune. Number one, because they're prey. They're prey animals. So I do see a difference in working with prey versus predator. Number two, they have wings. So a lot of times if you're working with them inside a home or a facility, you use any type of aversive with that bird, boom, it's up in the rafters. How are you going to get it out? And like the bite, a lot of time, that's a learned behavior. They learn. Are you nervous with your back? Because that's a pretty big beak.
Yes.
So a lot of times the birds are taught to bite, to defend, or if you keep pushing a bird, say to step up, step up, step up, and the bird doesn't want to step up, and you don't pay attention to like the open beak, but you keep saying step up, and the bird has given you all these warnings they don't want to do this, and then it finally bites you and you pull your hand away, you just taught the bird it needs to bite. So anyways, I don't want to stick my hand in there with him. And I'm not going to until I get to know him. And I always say, if that animal can see, hear, smell, or feel you, you're training it, whether you realize it or not. It's just, what are you training it to do? So even the dogs in the house, I have a deaf dog. I have a Rottweiler that's no special needs. And I have a Border Collie that's deaf and blind. And you would never know she's deaf or blind. Because I just communicate with her differently. A lot of special needs really help me fine-tune my training. Training is teaching. Teaching is learning. Learning is communication. And this is the best form of communication I've found with any animal. And the reason my reinforcer to continue doing it is what I see from the animal. And I use the word work a lot. I work an animal, I work a bird, I work whatever. But I also say work is not a 4-letter word. So many times, and studies show that animals in our care are severely lacking in complex problems to figure out throughout the day. When I sit on a plane, you very rarely will see me sit because I'm a very fidgety person. I do have limited attention span that I really need to focus on. If I were to fly on a plane and you do not give me a phone, I guarantee you're going to see some behaviors you probably don't want. Such I'm going to start really smacking my gum. Has it been 10 minutes already? You're going to see me probably, I can't cross my legs in a plane because there's not that much room, but you're going to see me starting to do things like this. I'm going to start bouncing. I'm going to start taking my pen. I'm going to start clicking it. I'm going to probably drive you crazy because you're sitting next to me. But those are all behaviors I give to help deal with minor amounts of stress, which is restriction, right? Their lives, there's a lot of restriction, lack of choice. Like Nancy said before the live stream started, the parrots and the corvids are some of the most intelligent, I think, animals in the world, but definitely in the bird world. Go ahead.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that parrots are the only animals that fashion tools to get things. That great apes use rocks to smash things but don't actually create them. But parrots will take wires and bend them to get things out of crevices.
I think there's a couple other primates that will do that. Or a couple other, I don't know, but yeah.
I read this. This is interesting.
Yeah, and there's also something called metatool use, which they will use a tool to shape another tool to use that tool to get to the object. I know there's videos out there of it with crows, and I'm not sure about the metatool use with the parrots, but there's definitely tool use with parrots. As you were saying before the live stream started, I can't remember, I know I read it in some kind of a book, sorry, I didn't see that coming, or I would have told you. How the term bird brain came about. I say it was like the 1950s, but I don't know. It's out there, and it's because when you dissect and look at the brain of a bird, it looks different than that of mammals because ours have all these folds, whereas the bird brain is a solid, smooth sheath. So the doctor, who discovered that, said it must be a more simple, complex animal. Boy, were they wrong. When somebody calls you a bird brain, I mean, I just say thank you very much.
It's not the size of the brain that makes you intelligent. It's how many neurons you have and how they're hooked up.
Yeah. We had a speaker at the center, Werner Bingman. He's right there in Ohio, and he's from Bowling Green. And I had no idea that Bowling Green State University had one of the biggest canine cognition labs.
Sure do.
I was listening to this in a book on B.F. Skinner, and I was like, what? Rewind. So I contacted Werner Bingman. He does a lot of studies out of BG, Bowling Green, it's primarily on pigeons. But if pigeons get a bad rap, and they are so smart. How do you define smart?
She has a roller pigeon.
Yeah, I have a roller pigeon. I can explain what a roller pigeon is. I'd only worked with one pigeon before. But we have a pigeon because it represents B.F. Skinner's work with pigeons. And I think they can do so much more than what he thought they could. I tell everybody, I have a lot of dog training friends, and I tell everybody my roller pigeon can do anything your border collie can do. But Werner Bingman has his biography what do I want to say, intimidated me. I was like, wow, don't know if I can be around somebody this smart without feeling really stupid. He has a lot of grants from the National Geographic to do, but he talks a lot about how the bird brain is wired. And so many times there's something called anthropomorphism, where you put human traits on animals. Your dogs are pretty resistant and resilient, but you start doing that with a bird, you're probably going to get yourself in danger real fast. Like, people want to kiss and cuddle things. And we forget that, even though we forget that these are other animals where their brains are wired different. For example, my dad asked me why I can't pet the turkey vulture at the center if we've had it for so long. And I was like, because it's a turkey vulture, you know? It's not, you're going to watch your back again. Does anybody have any questions? Even like how to do something? I mean, I could talk forever on behavior. One of the first things I do when I start interacting with an animal, I don't care if it's a dog, I don't care if it's my sister, but I know my sister pretty well, is I just sit and I observe. I watch everything they move towards, what they move away from. The things that they're moving towards are potential positive reinforcers, and I grab those and virtually stick them in my pocket. The things that they're moving away from, note to self, you know, is it because it doesn't understand? And a lot of behaviors labeled as aggressive are based out of fear, and the animal just doesn't understand, but the person thinks you should understand. And then the animals get labeled as aggressive because we didn't know how to do better. So when I see an animal moving away from something, I will remove it from its enclosure. But if it's something that needs to be introduced, I will slowly pair it with positive reinforcement, reintroducing it, and then desensitizing that animal to that feared object. At the center, we have 15 resident animals, and we have to towel them. We need them to accept medication. We do a lot of veterinary prep, and if we have time, we train tricks. Tricks help us fine-tune our communication skills. So the world is full of positive reinforcers and positive punishers. And without getting into Science 101, they're called positive, not because they're of benefit, that the animal likes it. They're called positive because it's added to the environment. Because then it also gets into negative punishment, negative reinforcement, and the negative just means it's subtracted from the environment. So, for example, I want Blue to get into a crate. Here's the crate, and I'm going to want to train him to want to go into that crate. If he is afraid of towels, or I don't want to pick it up. I don't want to pair myself with the stick. If he's afraid of towels, and I put the towel behind him, because if you're working with a fearful animal and something is out of their line of sight, that's an aversive. So the bird is sitting here, the crate's there, so I add in something scary and the bird moves in. I have positively punished his behavior of standing here and negatively reinforced the behavior of him going in. Negative reinforcement means the behavior happens for the animal to escape, avoid a consequence. That consequence, this, is removed. All right? So the bird goes in to escape, avoid this. That is one I want to stay far away from. The positive punisher is, it's always an aversive. You want a behavior to decrease, so you add an aversive. Like, you put your hand in the cookie jar. I don't want your hand in the cookie jar, so I smack you. This is added, but the future behavior of you putting your hand in the cookie jar must reduce. And this is a common problem in the human area. Oftentimes, that's going to cause you to do is just be trickier about putting your hand in the cookie jar.
Wait till you go away.
Right. So if I don't want you putting your hand in the cookie jar, that's probably going to train a behavior I don't want. If I don't want you putting your hand in the cookie jar, I'm going to, and this is common in the animal world. So many people constantly say, don't, stop, no, no, no. Animals learn faster, and so do we, from being reinforced for what to do instead. I keep smacking you. I'm not giving you information for when can I have a cookie? You know? So then I want to positively reinforce, I'm not going to smack you in the first place because I know it doesn't work as fast. Plus, I like you. I want to keep a relationship with you. You go to put your hand in the cookie jar next time and you turn around like this and see me standing there, what are you going to do?
Take it out.
Probably take it out, and you're probably, if I hurt you enough, your anxiety is going to start rising. All of that is paired with me, and I don't want any part of it. If I like you. If I don't like you, then I'm going to smack you. But I don't know a lot of people that don't want people to like them. You know, this can be used in the classroom. This can be used in our government. This can be used in the workplace. A lot of times with me learning more about animals, most of the stuff I'm listening to and reading has nothing to do with the non-human animal. It has to do with the workplace, with the government, with the school system, with your nursing homes. Behavior doesn't lie. Somebody I knew was under the care of somebody else. Behavior doesn't lie. Was under the care of somebody else. And I was watching that nurse take care of this person that I love very dearly. And the nurse reached over this person's head to do something. And the person that I loved went like this. And I said, you are out of here. We're out of here. That tells me things that have happened in the past. Behavior doesn't lie. You know, you walk in a room and give a threat to something. I don't know, what? Nancy! That's different than Nancy. If I said that to you, you'd probably be like, what?
I have a positive reinforcer for you.
Okay. I love positive reinforcers.
I hope it's positive reinforcer. It might not be. How about that? But this symbolic of a couple things. Number one, I have cockatoos here, and they're the hardest of all the parrots to take care of. And I don't want to say I didn't like them, but I shied away from them. I couldn't read their body language very well until I met you. And Laura does this amazing work with her cockatoos and other people's cockatoos in the Parrot Project. So I now almost like them the best. It's awful to say, but these are simple, easy birds to take care of compared to cockatoos. So I wanted to make this a cockatoo visit here this time, and so I made these little hair pieces for everybody to wear, and they're made out of our feathers here from the 2 cockatoos we have. And then I looked for a shawl for you that would have a cockatoo on it, and I couldn't find the white Moluccan cockatoos, but I got the black. I got this shawl for you, which is this incredibly, outrageously marvelous cockatoo, the cockatoo of all cockatoos.
Oh, it's the red-tailed black cockatoo.
Which we hope will continue to stay in the wild, because these birds are really critically endangered, so many of them. And so this is a symbol of cockatoo for you to wear. You can travel with this too.
I will.
Really, really lightweight. We love you, and thank you for your work with cockatoos. It made huge difference to me.
Thank you. Thanks, Nancy. You're a very giving person in many ways. In many ways. And you were saying Saturday night at dinner, I can't remember, that was many nights ago, Sunday night at dinner. What did you tell me about Nancy?
I just kind of fell in love with her the second I met her, because she is one of the most passionate people I think I may have ever met in my life. But she's passionate in such a good way. She wants to help. She wants to better. She wants to educate. And if there aren't more people like her in this world, we have no hope.
Yes. How true is that?
Everyone needs to be more like Nancy because of her optimism towards life. We've got a very weird world out there doing very weird things to our birds and our environment. And as that can be very depressing to think about, she She thinks of the what ifs. What if we could educate everybody?
10 minutes. So this live stream has been going on, what, 30 minutes? Because we've got
Oh,
three
yeah.
planes driving
Yeah.
fly above.
But she thinks of the what ifs. She says, what if we could educate everyone? And we could, reduce our carbon footprint and really start to better our planet. What could happen? We could really thrive. These birds could thrive. As of right now, it's not realistic, but it could happen. And that's why I love this woman, because she never gives up that idea,
Yeah.
And it has to do with behavior work and educating tourists down in the Florida Keys.
You've got the perfect.
If you can leave here with one little fact about birds and our planet, we could all really make a difference.
If you can start by opening your eyes through an animal maybe you weren't familiar with before you came here. Does anybody here have parrots?
I have a
Nobody.
lovebird.
Okay. Cockatiel? They're so awesome.
Do you have him now? You have your cockatiel now?
Yes, at home. He's 14. Yeah.
Okay. So this is an opportunity, and Nancy takes this opportunity to educate.
Praise him, because he's not used to being in that cage. He could have started honking like a truck on I-95, and instead he's ringing his bell. He played with his toy. He tried to reach out to you, and he's basically being very well behaved in a cage, and he's outdoors, which is where I like
Good
to have him.
boy, Blue.
And we want to always praise them when they're being well behaved, because what a good boy. They all know their names. Baby, good, bird. Lucy, ring your bell. What a good bird. Because when they sit quietly, nobody says anything or does anything. Unless they misbehave, then they get attention. So you always want to praise a bird that's doing the right behaviors.
Yeah. Don't forget to reinforce. I don't care. Insert X. Insert the letter N. Whatever. If you want to see desirable behavior maintain and increase, reinforce it. And reinforcers are so much more than food. We only use food maybe less than half the time. Attention is a huge reinforcer for people. Immediacy, how quick you deliver that attention. So, for example, say you get a $3,000 bonus at work at Christmas time. That's not immediate. That's not immediate enough a lot of times to keep the behavior you want maintaining strong, because it's a long time till Christmas. But if you give me a bonus, this is why the system works like at factories. You get 10 cents per each 10 pieces you pull. You're going to see my rate of behavior. Boom, boom. I'm going to start working harder, faster. 5 o'clock comes, I'm probably going to keep working. That's the immediacy. So many times behaviors, and this is one, I'm not going to go there. I was on a consult once with with a woman and her dog, and she was there because she wanted to change the behavior of her dog jumping. So I was like, then what do you want him to do instead?
Oh, this is Sean, just to let me introduce. This is your live stream. This is Sean, who has been here every single day for about over 2 months, right? Morning to help bring the birds out. Evenings, he does education 1 to 3 every day here. He is taking Hammerhead for a walk. And I would not be here if it hadn't been for Sean volunteering and being available at this point in his life
Sean.
to keep us going while our helper is recovering from cancer. So Sean's been my friend for many years. He did not handle any of these birds before over 2 months ago. But he has had his talking relationships to a lot of the birds. He particularly loved Rock, who we lost just before the hurricane. And as you can see, he's made friends, physical friends, contact with most of the birds here. And he talks to them the way I like to hear somebody talk to them. He
People are
handles
saying,
them
"Yay,
the way
Sean."
I like to have people handle them. He takes direction from me when I tell him what to do and not do, and he does it. Thank you very much. Because I told him right away we have to use the same language, because I learned from him. If we all say it with a different inflection or a different language, or the timing's different, or a lot of things are different, then it makes it confusing for the bird to understand what's about to happen. And he understands and enjoys it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean, for the great work you're doing.
Thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of times people to forget to reinforce behavior they want to see increase because it's not a concern. And then they wait until an undesired behavior happens. And there's a problem with that. Once you wait for the undesired behavior to happen, the animal or the child or the person has already learned that if this behavior is undesired by you, it still serves a purpose for that individual. They know they can get a desirable consequence by learning that they're likely going to revert to it. If you try to change the behavior, once the positive reinforcement starts happening for the alternate behavior, if it stops, the animal's going to revert back to the undesired behavior. So, I don't want to keep you guys. You're in Key West. This is your vacation. Does anybody have any questions?
I have something I'd like to say. Go,
Yeah.
you first. What is your name?
What is my name? Laura Joseph.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry.
I know who you are. So because you have lots of people who
Will you speak
tune
up?
in and see this, and sooner or later everybody comes to Key West. If you're coming to Key West, you can volunteer here. And even if you're...
Can
just
everybody
come-
hear her?
I don't know if can everybody hear?
I'm
Okay.
waiting for him to respond.
So we need volunteers. What I've discovered since Steve got sick is how much volunteers can help us here. Even if you come just for a couple of hours, you can fill up one of these for the birds, like this. We had a woman here for a week. Her name is Carol. She came every day, and Melissa here was here. She taught her how to fill one of these. This keeps the birds interested and occupied, opening presents and seeing what's inside here. So
Good.
it's fun, and we need it. Airplane.
Thanks, Cynthia.
We also, it's fun to bathe the birds, and on a warm sunny day like this, some days we bathe them and the person can hold the hose up in the air and give them a light spray and not hit them in the face with the hose. They like that, and it's a two-person job, so we always need volunteers. If anybody, Laura, your friends that sees this, wants to come to Key West and spend a half a day in here or a few hours, we appreciate it.
Okay, so they said they can hear you, but if you're going to visit the Keys, come down and volunteer. Consider volunteering here at Nancy Forrester Secret Garden. And I forgot to address Melissa from the Turtle Hospital. Yay! Your website.
So my website now is www.nancyforrester.com, but I'm about to change it over to keywestparrots.com.
Okay. So they can follow you at
And
well, they
something-
follow you on Facebook, and you'll
Facebook
announce.
is better for me. She has some wonderful ideas. On Thursdays in Key West, they have an organic market where they sell produce. Melissa started this project where she goes after the market's over and collects produce that they're not going to take home for the birds. She came back with bountiful amounts of
I'm going today.
and so they're saving wonderful greens and all kinds of veggies. That was her idea, wonderful idea. She's also going to start a project on Amazon to put things up that we need, which is wonderful, I think. It's good. We haven't started it yet, but we've talked about it, her idea. And God knows, she's full of energy and full of good ideas. Thank you.
We need that.
She
this thing.
deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so look out for an Amazon wish list in the near future. It's not going to be anything big, but as you can see, Nancy's got her hands full with, 23 macaws and parrots, and they just need the best care. So all we're asking for, if you have some extra money, maybe go on our wish list and you see that we need some extra bird baths, or maybe we need some awesome foraging toys. It's never going to be anything terribly expensive, but any little bit kind of helps us and Nancy and these birds. So we know there's a lot of animal lovers out there, and they want to support this woman just as much as I do. So we thought that was a pretty easy way that people would do it, really, from all over the world.
Her good idea. Good idea.
Yes, and with saying that, some of the people that may be watching that are not familiar, how did you get all these birds? How many birds do you have, and how did you get them?
Oh God, I can make this short. I'm an environmental artist, activist, primarily with a passion to save our planet from the destruction that it's experiencing every day with habitat loss. I created a rainforest garden in Key West on the last wooded acre in the heart of Old Town with the mission to never have it developed. I worked it 40 years. I planted hundreds of trees, and I taught rainforest ecology. When I did that, people were offering me monkeys, mynah birds, turtles, snakes, tons of parrots. I always said no.
That they no longer wanted?
All unwanted animals people buy that they don't want. I always said I was never a bird lover. I didn't intend to do this. I like sea life better. Like she's going to train an octopus one day. And I don't believe in the parrot trade, and I don't believe they should be captured and sold. I think it's a commodity that should have been stopped legally a long time ago. But the first bird came into my garden unwanted, brought in by someone I never saw, who left it in a cage with no note 30 years ago. And it shocked me. And it still happens all over the country and all over the world. A friend of mine is taking care of a blue and gold macaw that now resides in a shelter in Austria, in Vienna, and he goes every Saturday and hugs and loves on it. It was abandoned in a train station there. It makes me want to cry. It's tattered with not many feathers, missing some toes, but it gets love now. It makes me sad to think about all the abuse. We want to stop animal abuse. So the first parrot that came, when you get a parrot and you're open to the public and everyone sees you have a parrot, a tsunami of parrots come at you. So over the last 30 years, I've had rehomed about 100 birds. And in the beginning, Laura, I thought I did a good job because they had a place to live, they had veterinarian care, they had food, not the best diet, as I've learned that from you, from your visitors on your shows, like Jason. And I didn't realize, but they had some attention because people were flowing in and out and looking at them, and they were getting some talk and whistle and fun. But it wasn't really until I lost the garden to foreclosure in 2008, and then here comes an airplane again. After the garden was lost, and which was a tragedy for this community. Many of you understand that this is a party town with 136 bars, which we all enjoy. But it was the last wooded acre, and it was important to save. Anyway, I wasn't capable of doing that because it rose to be worth $6 million, and it was illegal for 21 homes. So I decided that I would stay open with what I had left, which were the parrots, because the parrots basically are, a lot of them are rainforest birds, and I could still talk about the rainforest and saving water and earth and trees. And then, because I specialized, then I met Laura. And when I met Laura, I realized just how little I was offering the parrots at that point, and wanted to offer them all the things that she talks about to enrich their lives. And really can't do that because I'm too underfunded and too understaffed. We want them to have enrichment toys. This morning I wove collars in and out of, and Buddy's got his all down already. They're gone. So nutrition is important, and what I wanted them to do is to learn to eat healthy food, because most of these birds have had Cheetos and saltine crackers and pizza crust, and that causes organ damage. So what I try to do is give them a healthy diet. The best way, this is why I created this, because I thought maybe today I'd put the cockatoos on the table and we'd watch them get into this and get into the seeds and eat the seeds.
Are you going to do that now?
I could.
That'd be great.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a long live stream, but you want me to bring them out? I mean, do you
Sure,
want
you
me
guys
to?
would
Sure,
look
I'm
pretty
happy to do that.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is, now I'm 80, and I've never been a person who's lonely or need pats on the back. but because of social media and because of you, I feel more connected to what I'm doing than anything I've ever done before. These birds teach me something new every single day. And being a member of Laura Joseph's Parrot Project is just the most awesome thing you can do for yourself. If you want to grow love within yourself and find more love that you didn't even know you had, you just want to join her Parrot Project. And of course, the byproduct is your parrot is better adjusted and understands you better and understands what's necessary for it to do or not do in captivity for the rest of its life. They need to understand our language. We can understand theirs, but they won't. Then it helps them, because they live so long, to understand our vocalizations and our sign. And that has been so much fun. I've enjoyed it so much, and I hope I'm well and able to do this a lot longer. Yeah,
I hope you are too.
yeah, me too.
So you stay healthy. I'll stay healthy.
Okay. And we'll see each other next year again.
Yeah, so everybody on the live stream is saying, yes, bring out the cockatoos.
Okay, so now if I bring the cockatoos out, all the men have to sit back here.
They don't care for men?
And the women sit here. All the women can sit over here. What happened to everybody left?
Yeah, I
Okay,
guess.
that's fine. Now, when I bring them out, they do like to carve squash and melon and stuff, but they've never had an acorn squash, and they may not do anything, or they may get right into it. So we'll find out.
Do you guys know anything about cockatoos?
Do not.
They're funny. So it's Peaches and Molly, right?
Mr. Peaches and
Mr.
Molly.
Peaches and Molly.
Now, what's the strangest animal to you that you've ever trained?
Strangest?
Or worked with?
Strangest.
Or unique?
Oh, jeez. A lot of people think I would say the species versus the behavior of the animal. One of my favorite encounters was a resource guarding pig-tailed macaque. It's a primate. They can be a very scary animal. And this is an animal I did not want anything to do with. I was like, I'll train anything in this zoo, but that one animal. They asked me to, and I started to, and over a period of a couple of months, he and I developed such a strong relationship. Very strong. I'll still think about the strangers, but I train alligators. I love training alligators. Yes.
All right, so this is a 35-year-old cockatoo named Molly, who's in perfect feather, who's had many homes and been bumped from his homes because he bites men. So he goes on the table, and he trained to stay on the table. This
They're both
is
taking.
Mr. Peaches.
He's like, look at me.
Draws.
What?
Good.
Hi.
Oh, good. This is what I want.
One right for it.
Look at that. You see that, Laura?
I am.
Yeah, wow.
Hi, Molly.
Good bird, Mr. Peaches. So often I present food like this as toys. He may not ingest the food, but if he's playing with it, eventually he's going to swallow some, and eventually he's going to learn to like it. And that's been the result of Buddy up here, who's now learned to eat his greens, and he likes his broccoli best, thank goodness. And my best, most proudest mom here of diet, because I can't do chop and put it in their food bowl because they go like, what's that? We don't go near our food bowl, we won't. But Lucy now will eat anything I put in his food bowl, regardless of color, regardless of size, whether it's fruit or veggie. He ingests
What do you
it and
think?
swallows it and gets the nutrition from
Hi.
it. The little Patagonian over here eats his greens.
Tell me if I'm doing anything I shouldn't do.
So I've had some success in Lucy's greens are gone. Also, he chopped them up. when one bird's working on this, the other bird doesn't work at the same time. And wasted, good boy, chomped up. Yay! Yay! It started. Woohoo! Mr. Peaches, good boy.
Did I see that he sketches? Is he the one that sketches, does drawing?
He is
What
a
are you
techie
doing? Is
with
he
the-
looking at me
with the,
because he wants to play with the
cell
phone, the piano on the phone?
Probably. Now, when you have these two birds out like this, what do you look at to tell them apart?
I can see him in me. They don't look anything alike to me at all. Do
But
they
tell
look
me what
alike
you
to
see, because I don't know these birds that well.
Okay, so
Can you
for
speak
one
up?
thing, body type. He's a longer, slimmer, not less chunky bird. He's a wider shape. The body itself is different, and the beak and the face and the eyes look very different to me. He has a smaller beak and smaller feet. He has bigger feet and bigger beak. And just, this one has perfect feather. Even as many homes as he's been bumped out of, he does not pull his feathers out. He does, I mean, I have to knock on wood, it could happen any day. But this one
Can you guys
has
hear
stress.
her okay?
And this one, what a good boy you are. This one pulls feathers up his leg, up his chest, under his wings, on his back. And before I met Laura, I put
see
a
that
cardboard
again.
box in the bottom of his cage, and it was the wrong thing to do. It kept the feathers on him, and he chips up the boxes all the time. But it keeps him in nesting mode year round and makes him more aggressive when I put my hands in the cage and I'm near the bottom of the cage. So I didn't replace the behavior with a more positive one, which would have been to put things at the top of the cage. I could have put the cardboard box at the top, so he's up there. He now, though, is, I'm putting these, when Melissa comes and makes these foraging toys, I put them up, and he's actually interested in taking them apart and finding the food in them and staying up. So we're working on it, get him off the bottom of his cage. I learned all of these things I'm saying. I hope I'm saying them correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm learning you don't want to keep a bird at the bottom of their cage. It encourages nesting behavior, and that there's lots of problems with wanting to mate all year long.
It increases frustration. Imagine constantly wanting to mate but not being able to. People touch, like you stroke them down the back, can be sexually stimulating to them, but people are petting them like they pet dogs. So now you got a bird that wants to do the next thing. But then you're just like constantly, that's frustration. And a lot of times can lead
I'm taking
to
pictures and videos
aggression.
for you, Nance. Nance. She does take a better photo than I gotta hand it to her. She's got the.
Yes, I believe it's acorn squash, Carrie. So did you ask that question because you don't know cockatoos, or you don't know these cockatoos, or you're
You
trying
know, to be honest, I've never seen them compared side by side. So just like identical twins. Oh yes.
Oh
You're two different parrots.
She probably doesn't want them screaming, does she?
She doesn't.
I'm right back. I didn't go anywhere.
She's
I
right
just
here.
walk away for a second. This is called separation anxiety. One of the reasons these birds are never out here when I'm not with them is if I were to put them in a cage here, code enforcement would be knocking at my door because this is the loudest bird on the planet. This is where I don't have good hearing anymore.
Either do I.
And
Miss Nancy, I've been taking photos and videos, so you know.
I want you to know something about me, Melissa. I am appreciative, and I will be using them, and thank you for sharing them.
Well, just so
but
you-
let me just tell everybody here. I have a degree in design from Michigan. I'm an artist.
She loves it.
And I need to take pictures.
I told him you
like
take a
I
better
have
photo
to have
than me.
blood. Okay?
Just so you know.
They have to be my own picture. Oh, what a good! This is what we wanted. This is what's fun, and I need to take a photo of you guys sitting over there, looking at this to me. I take your picture back, obviously. That's what I want. I want this. This is what I like.
He's on a mission.
I know, sweetheart.
So a lot of of people don't give their animals things to do. When you don't give them things to do, like the saddest thing to see is an animal sitting there doing nothing, unless it's sleeping and it's really tired. But like I was saying, studies show that animals lack in complexity in their environment. We don't give them enough jobs to do, which can lead to abnormal repetitive behaviors such as excessive grooming, which usually leads to causing some kind of damage, whether it's excessive grooming of a dog, constantly licking, starting to develop a sore. It's usually out of, if it's not medical, it's usually out of understimulation. And then now you have an undesired behavior starting to become well practiced with these guys that I think the companion parrot community seriously lacks in giving complex enough challenges. People just want to give them things because they think they're providing love by just giving them, but they don't give them a job to do that's not mentally, physically stimulating, especially for an animal this complex. Then you start developing abnormal repetitive behaviors, and it can be like you see the monkeys in the zoos constantly doing circles, polar bears swimming the exact same. Those are stress relievers. That's a sign of an under-enriched environment. Those abnormal repetitive behaviors often start turning into self-injurious behaviors, such as with primates, like the eye poking, and you'll see like giraffes like mouthing the wall. Or sliding their tongue along cage bars. With these guys, you'll start to see feather plucking. The cockatoos are notorious for feather plucking and mutilation. So they start pulling the meat out of their chests and under their wings, and now you got a medical issue, and now your bird or any other animal his life's on the line.
So this bird has a behavior where he goes around in tight little circles and he says, "What's the matter, Molly?" And people laugh and think it's cute. It's because he was housed in a cage that was too small at one time and he couldn't get exercise.
How do they respond if you leave the house?
You know, in terms of being in the house, they're caged in the house when they're not out here with me. When I put one on the table without the other, this is the behavior I'm talking about.
So this is the ARB, abnormal repetitive behavior.
That's, from what I understand, he was in a very small cage at one time and he couldn't exercise. This is what I was told. I don't know. So what I've discovered, if I bring one of these birds out alone, it's a different experience with him or a different experience with him. If I put them both on the table, it's a very different experience. Usually only one bird gets to chew up this. When he's done and he's lost interest, then he finishes this off. This young bird, 15 years old, is alpha over this bird. If I try to house them in the same cage,
when I see animals
this one
starting
can't
to
eat
just
or get
crunch,
near the
crunch,
water
crunch
bowl,
like this,
nor drink water.
are they
And he keeps
foraging?
them down
Is
on
this
the
enrichment,
bottom of the
or
cage.
is this nesting behavior?
Just
Even though it's still an acorn
nervous.
squash, so I've been watching Mr. Peaches really closely, and
They're
what I am
okay
seeing
together
is he's
out
coming
here.
over and eating it. That's what I want to see. So studies also show that when you try to provide enrichment, so enrichment could be just engagement, toys, foraging, meaning searching for their food. Studies show that social enrichment is one of the most complex forms of enrichment you can provide. That's the engagement. That's where studies also show that if you're actually using positive reinforcement training, it's the animal's preferred form of enrichment. Why wouldn't it be? All this good stuff happens. You don't want the training session to stop. That's the social complexity. It's mentally and physically enriching. It's giving them a purpose in a job to do. Imagine not having a purpose. I mean, there's been times I've woken up over the past 48 years of my life where I've felt depressed, like I don't know what purpose I'm serving. I mean, there's been a couple of times in my life I felt like that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's 15 animals out in the center. Get up, get out of bed. You know, I have a purpose to serve. Does this animal have a purpose to serve? So I try to make sure they have one. But another thing I was going to say,
You're not done, I guess, huh?
and it's not just necessarily animals, but if social enrichment is one of the most complex form of enrichment, yet with these animals in companion households, they're often caged individually, where in the wild, they're flying hundreds, thousands at a time. They're communicating, they're engaging, they're reading each other during flight. We got to match that. And that's what my goal is. Mother Nature is my competitor. And I love having her as a competitor. I'll never be able to match that, but it keeps my bar raised so high. Like with these guys, some things that they are missing in captivity versus in the wild is some of these animals fly up to 40 miles a day. What are you going to do with that replacement behavior? How are you going to match that? Because if you don't match it, other behaviors are going to start developing that you probably don't want to see. You know, in the wild, they're mating, rearing their young. It's not happening here. They're trying to just survive and make sure nothing eats them. They don't have, I don't want my animals feeling like something's going to eat them, but they are missing one of those natural behaviors. And probably so much more that we don't even know. There's a book out there called Are We Smart Enough to Know How Smart Animals Are by Franz de Waal. That is if you are, it's a fabulous book. It's a good really good eye opener.
Say the title again?
Are We Smart Enough to Know How Smart Animals Are? By Franz de Waal. Anything by Franz de Waal you need to read. What?
Is he living? Is that a living person?
Oh, yeah. Say what?
Is he a living person?
Yeah.
Would he come and talk?
Oh, I could contact him, but if I would be honored if he even responded with the word or the letters N-O.
Oh, is he too busy?
Oh, he's extremely popular.
Well, I think your squash was a success.
Well, you know
Nancy.
if you've noticed what's happened now, Molly has taken over because Peaches moved away, so Molly will finish this up.
Peaches
And this
is eating.
What I've noticed always. This is dominant. This bird is dominant over him.
You want me to move? Okay.
I love the fact. Now they're both chewing, so maybe he won't go back and chew it with.
So does anybody on this live stream have any questions for Nancy before we end? Thank you for joining this awesome session of Coffee with the Critters for the 3rd year in a row. Nancy, can I come down and do Coffee with the Critters this time next year?
Of course. Are you kidding? It's
Okay.
a must.
So join us next. As you guys know, we go live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern right here on the Animal Behavior Center's Facebook page, unless we're on site somewhere. So thank you for joining today. Please go to Nancy Forrester's Secret Garden Facebook page, support her, follow the work she does, help share. We can make a lot of difference in this world today. Okay, you guys, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Now we're gonna have some more conversations, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we are. Maybe we'll go live in the Parrot Project. See you guys.
This was successful.